The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Welcome to Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor, your one-stop shop when it comes to animation news and commentary. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and Mr. Taylor, whose writings on the industry you can regularly read over on The Wrap and whose musings on the Mission Impossible movies you can listen to on the Light the Fuse podcast, he and I are recording this week's show on Sunday, February 12th, 2023, Super Bowl Sunday. But you've been out doing other things out in LA recently. Is that right, Drew?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing is, that I had a really great conversation with friend of the show, friend of this show. But although Jim wanted to point out that really he is the favorite, he is the constant in this. But I talked to Josh Gad for a very long time because the movie was so late. Starting on Monday at Ant-Man Quantumania. And you will love that Josh did not let anything slip about the announcement, which we will be getting into, I'm sure, about Frozen 3. Yeah.
Yes, that is part of the new segment for this week's show. So you got to the Ant-Man Quantumania premiere, but didn't you also make it to the Lumiere Awards? Or
yeah, have you ever been to this event, Jim?
I haven't, but I was so enjoying Guillermo showing off. He really loves that award.
Yeah. Yes, he does. I got to talk to him before the show started because I was bothering him earlier in the week about something else. But yeah, what's interesting is it used to be a giant event. There would be like 600 industry people. And then after the pandemic, it kind of condensed into this intimate luncheon at the Beverly Hills Hotel, which I'd actually never been to because they never do any junkets over there, but is an amazing hotel. I mean, the chandelier in this room alone, I was just looking up and staring at it. It is so wonderful. So then they said, you know what, we're going to just keep it this way. So it was very intimate. I got to say hello to the team from Avatar. John Landau was there. Baz Luhrmann was there. It was a really nice group of people. And also, I walked down the stairs, and who did I see? My favorite person in animation, of course, Angus MacLane, director of Lightyear, was there, and he picked up an award. So that was a lot of fun.
Good to hear.
We'll have to get you out next year, Jim, and you'll have to sit and eat the nice lunch.
Speaking of friends of the show, just in our last show, you were talking about Andreas Deja. Did you see the thing that bubbled up on Twitter just this morning?
I saw it, and I honestly, Jim, I was a little upset that I was not invited.
Me as well. I mean, all right, folks, what we're talking about here is Mushka. Okay, how long have we been following this project? It's got to be over a decade at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so hand-drawn, 28-minute long movie. Evidently, last night, there was a cast and crew screening of Mushka. Is this thing actually going to get out on the festival circuit this year, you think? Or
I don't know. I'm going to send him a note tomorrow and say, like, how can we help? And I invite him on the show and say, if you want to come on, So one of the last times I talked to him about it, he was talking to Disney Plus about it.
Okay.
So it would be great if that actually happened. I haven't followed up. But yeah, Andreas is a lovely man and extreme talent. And we were talking about his show at the museum, the Walt Disney Family Museum, which is open for another month.
There we go.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why you and I have to get in lockstep here to help out, because, by the way, there is an official Mushka website now. So go check that out. But the log line for this thing is a story of love and sacrifice set in Russia.
No, brother.
Yeah, that kind of a tough time to be bringing a story set in that world. To be walking around to studios and streaming services.
It could have been set in a Chinese spy balloon. Just think about that.
Okay.
So that could have been even worse.
Well, this is the thing. If you go through the materials, you get a sense that there's already some massaging going on. Like, if you read the actual description on the site, it talks about Mushka tells the story of a Ukrainian girl, Sarah, who raises a Siberian tiger during the 1970s. But at the same time, if you drill down into the site, they also mention this is a film about a Russian girl and a Siberian tiger. So I think there is a sense that, okay, this is kind of problematic. We need to address this and make sure it's properly positioned and all that. But there's so many things I learned from just burrowing through the website. Like, for example, Richard Sherman has not only written a musical theme for this thing, but also a song. I guess the other thing that concerns me is if you really dig down into the site, at one point there's a message to the effect of, do you have a theater? Would you like to hold a screening of Mushka? And it's just sort of like, oh, come on. This is Andreas Deja, one of the genuine masters of hand-drawn animation. People got to get behind this thing.
Yeah.
We got to help get the word out.
I didn't know that the Shermanator was on board, but now that makes it even more exciting.
Oh, wow. Hadn't heard that name. Okay. So, all right. Well, again.
He'll be back, Jim.
Okay. All right. You work your magic. See if we can get an Andreas on board the show.
Okay, well.
Folks, lots more news to come. And speaking of the news portion of Fine Tuning is brought to you by Storybook Destination, trusted travel partner of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. For a worry-free travel experience every time, please book online at storybookdestinations.com. Okay, I wanted to get to Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur before Drew and I recorded this morning. Got it on the DVR. Did you see this Dick Tracy zooms in thing?
I almost asked you for your Spectrum login, Jim, because I don't have cable anymore. So I was, denied the pleasure. I'm hoping this will be on YouTube soon. It looks too bizarre to not. But you want to say what it is first?
Correct me if I'm wrong, because didn't Warren Beatty do something similar in 2008? An interview with Leonard Maltin, where Beatty dressed up as Dick Tracy, and it was this half-hour-long interview, right?
Yeah, shot on the lot by Emmanuel Lubezki, the Oscar-nominated cinematographer.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know what? When I was at Disney and I was, trying to think of stories for this website, I actually called Leonard Maltin and got the story. So we ran. There's actually a story on Disney.com. You can find it now, I'm sure, about the making of that super weird special. But it seems to be that every, decade or so, he just has to re-up the rights and do something with the character.
Yeah.
So that's what this was again.
Here's the thing. I love Leonard Maltin. He was the author of the very first Disney reference book I ever bought. So it's, I never want to talk badly of him, but boy, I don't know if you've seen what's being said on social media today about this particular, and again, it's basically a Zoom meeting. But again, it's a Zoom meeting that got shown on Turner Classic Movies, so evidently that's enough for Warren to hang on to the movie rights to Dick Tracy for another set number of years. But the phrase train wreck came up a lot.
Yeah.
I have been known to slow down for car accidents, so, you tell me it's a train wreck, and I have to watch it. So
we'll figure out how to watch it.
There we go.
I'll find it, Jim, and we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, I can't wait to watch Devil Dinosaur also. The art style just looks so cool.
Well, no,
also they sent me, Jim, a pair of roller skates, so I'm ready to be the next.
Are you kidding? Oh, that's so cool. Now
they're very cool. Next time I go to Moonlight, Jim, I will be looking fresh.
Very cool. All right, now speaking of the art style of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, Ben Juwono, who was hired as the supervising animator on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur back in 2019, because it was going to have such a specific style, he put together a storyboard visual guide that could then be used by the directors, board artists, and revisionists who were going to come work on this Marvel television animation project. And what's really kind of cool is that if you go on Twitter to Ben's Twitter feed, he's put up about 10 or 15 pages from this 150-page guide. It literally pops the hood on the style of the show. And if you're a fan of how the sausage gets made, so to speak, These things that Ben have shared are absolutely amazing about how, for example, how the character, her as a civilian versus Moon Girl, the difference in posing, the difference in the way her eyes are done when she's wearing the goggles. I mean, it's really, really, really worth checking out.
This show has been in development for so long, so that'll be such a fun reference for people to see why it took so long and how it ended up. And I think we should tell people too, Jim, that it's on Disney Plus on the 15th. So they're doing this quick turnaround, which I really love, of, airing on linear and then going to Disney Plus. So that'll be the day after this show airs will be, it'll be on Disney Plus.
Cool. All right. You kind of alluded to this at the top of the show, so let's just get into it. Earlier this week, Bob Iger, during an earnings call for the Walt Disney Company, revealed that there are 3 sequels in the works. Care to list what's coming down the pike, Drew?
Oh, absolutely, Jim. Well, as I alluded to before, that Josh was very tight-lipped about, there will be Frozen 3 coming from Walt Disney Animation Studios. Also coming from Walt Disney Animation Studios, a Zootopia sequel, perhaps the worst-kept secret in all of animation, and a project I've been referring to as Tootopia, and also another Toy Story 5. Now, that is where we should talk about how things are playing out on social media, because Tim Allen, who was recently accused of showing his bits to Pamela Anderson, seemed to have almost prematurely announced it or announced his involvement, but there is no confirmation from Disney that he's even a part of this sequel. So I don't really know what's going on there. What did you think about that whole thing?
In regard to Frozen 3, anytime anyone is willing to hand Josh Gad National Treasure Corporate Night, a check, I'm a happy guy, okay? But you remember the Into the Unknown making Frozen 2, the limited series over at Disney Plus?
Yes, I cannot stop thinking about it, Jim. Maybe the most honest look, maybe besides the Sweatbox, the most honest look at the production of an animated feature ever.
I totally agree. And in fact, that brings me to, I want to say in the either the second to the last or the last episode, there is that meeting. It's like 3 months out from when the film is being released. And it's Jennifer Lee, it's Peter Del Vecchio, and they call all the creatives into a room. And what they basically say is, who's calling Elsa? Who is this mysterious voice? They are months away from this thing actually going into theaters, and they still haven't figured out the thing that sets the plot in motion. Whatever that mysterious voice that only Elsa can hear that is calling her to go off. And they make a decision that day in the room, and spoilers, folk, that it's her mom, right?
I guess, but it's also she is the fifth element or whatever the heck they...
Well, that's the thing. Where we stand now, Frozen 2, it made billions.
Highest grossing animated movie of all time. Yeah.
There we go. So it's hard to stand here and say it didn't work, but from a story point of view, I really don't feel like that one hung together. And more to the point, where are they going to go with 3? I feel like the story possibilities at this point are kind of limited. I mean, Anna and Kristoff have a child that also has magical abilities, or Olaf gets a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or Elsa gets a girlfriend or a boyfriend.
Well, that's the problem too with these movies that have so few characters. That it's where are we going here? I mean, at least with Toy Story, there's about 75 speaking roles.
Well, there you go. There we go.
When they said Toy Story 5, I was like, oh, this can literally be anything. This could be a, Woody and Bo. It could be Buzz and the rest of the gang. It could be a new character with new toys.
But at the same time, and no disrespect to Angus MacLane, because I really enjoyed Lightyear. I thought it was a great film. I still don't understand what happened there, whether it was marketing or just bringing the film to the market at the wrong time. But that, to me, would have been a flashing red sign that maybe we need to let Toy Story rest for a bit. That maybe there isn't the appetite there for another film here. And I know a lot of people have a trouble with the storyline for Toy Story 4, but it had a great ending. It really did. I mean, I absolutely love that scene of she'll be fine. Bonnie will be fine. And that Woody gets his happy ending. He gets to go off with Bo Peep and effectively rescue toys for the rest of his existence. And if they wind up doing something that then undoes that ending, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah, I think Toy Story 4 rules. And that's why I think that they should just do some other, some other planet in the Toy Story galaxy. But Jim, we got to think about the fact there's a hotel being rethemed to Toy Story in Anaheim right now. Some very ugly colors are going up on the outside.
Okay.
And there's a barbecue place opening up, and there's a lot of There's always the sun never sets on the Toy Story empire, Jim. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, there is in the vaults at Disney the script for the Toy Story 3 that was going to be made at Circle 7 that actually has a really good story. You know the story, right?
It's a good script. Yeah.
I mean, the whole notion that Buzz gets recalled and gets sent back to Japan, and the tearful goodbye as he gets put in the box, and then, the characters are watching television, they find out that the toys are actually going to be destroyed. They're not going to be fixed and sent back, and so Woody and the Andy's Room gang, put themselves in a box and they can get to Japan faster, and their job is to go rescue Buzz. I mean, what do they call them? Midquels?
Yeah, right.
Do that story and not screw up
Yes.
Buzz and Bo's ending. And while we're making suggestions that Disney will never take, let me put another one out there because, frankly, the internet has been asking for this to happen since Rise of the Guardians came out in 2012. It's like, just hand DreamWorks Animation a giant pile of money and get the rights to bring Jack Frost into the Frozen universe. You can go online now and watch these amazing videos that are up on YouTube where industrious, 11 and 12-year-olds have edited together these amazing scenes where Jack Frost and Elsa are interacting, and they're a lovely couple, and they're really funny. And
well, what about this, Jim? What about the Jack Frost from Santa Claus 3, played by Martin Short? We could put that Jack Frost in.
Oh, you are doing no one any favors by putting that idea out there. On the other hand, just in the past year, we saw Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland all playing Spider-Man in the same movie. Don't tell me that if somebody from Disney went to DreamWorks and said, this is Frozen, these are the top earning animated films of all time, we could make a bundle of money. Give us Jack Frost. Who knows?
Jim, we should talk about some other possible sequels that almost happened in the second half. Should we do that in the second half of the show?
Okay, and speaking of which, we'll continue the device that nobody wants in the second half of the show. But first this.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
The detective said missing kids usually come home. What happens when they don't?
Based on a true story.
Police looking for John Gacy.
We discovered bodies. By the looks of it, they're younger men. The things he did to those kids. He's sick.
The system failed these families.
Devil in Disguise, John Wayne Gacy. Streaming now, only on Peacock.
Do you know how many there are?
Up to you to find out.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor. asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
We were just talking about DreamWorks Animation, Rise of the Guardians, and that was produced under Bill Damashek's watch over at DreamWorks Animation.
I don't know how to say his last name, Jim.
Okay.
We'll just, yeah. But he was a long time. Did you see that he started as like a story assistant on Pocahontas?
This is what I'm talking about. This is a guy who, in fact, when Jeffrey walked out the door, there were, a lot of folks who followed him over to DreamWorks and then did that amazing 10-year run of films there. And then he rose up through the ranks, then went over to Skydance in October of 2017 and hung on there till John Lasseter came on as the new key creative there in January of 2019. And the reason we're bringing up Bill is the trades are announcing that there's a very strong possibility that he's going to be the guy who winds up in charge of Warner Brothers Animation. That supposedly...
okay, we have to... Wait. We got to have to clarify this, Jim, because some of the trades got this wrong.
Okay.
He will not be in charge of Warner Brothers Animation. He will be in charge of Warner Animation Group. So Warner Animation does like Velma and the shows and Teen Titans, and Warner Animation Group is responsible for the computer animated feature-length films. Mm-hmm. So Lego Movie, Abominable, Mummies, which is coming out later this year, Acme versus Coyote. Mm-hmm. That's Warner Animation Group. So that would be... that is also the company that we will remember that Ron and John were working on a project for a few years ago that we still know nothing about. So,
but that was also a DC title. In fact, I wanted to talk with you about this because, again, if you think about it, with James Gunn and Peter Safran now in charge of DC Studios over there, have you heard anything about what's going on with DC home entertainment, those wonderful home premieres that they do?
No, I haven't. The only thing they really announced during that big showcase thing was the Creature Commando show, which looks very much in the same art style as those home video premieres. But yeah, I don't know. And there's a lot of as many answers as that thing gave us. There are a lot of questions.
No, absolutely, and it would just kind of kill me, given that how consistently high quality those home premieres have been. I would argue they've been the strongest DC content produced during there's been some good stuff. There's been some really uneven stuff.
I really like that Catwoman one recently. Did you see that kind of anime Catwoman one?
Yeah. That's the thing. They do some amazing stuff there. So really hoping that James and Peter understand that's a gem. That already works. You don't need to fix that. All right. Other news, folks. Did you see where Thomas Newman has been hired to write the score for Elemental?
I did. This is his first Pixar score since Finding Dory, I want to say.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
So it was nice to see him back in the building, so to speak. And did you see the 3 Grammys that Encanto picked up this past week?
Oh, we'd love to see it, Jim. We'd love to. Did you watch the Hollywood Bowl show, by the way?
I have caught a couple of pieces of it. It was just enough during the We Don't Talk About Bruno number to see the dozens of people dressed as rats dancing in the aisles at the Hollywood Bowl, not to mention the giant Bruno puppet. It's like,
isn't that amazing?
I have to watch this whole thing at some point. Oh, just found out this week, J.B. Kaufman, who, by the way, has written 2 amazing books about early Disney feature-length projects. I mean, his Snow White book is unsurpassed about that film. Likewise, his Pinocchio book. Just found out he's doing a Fantasia book. Title is Worlds to Conquer, The Art and Making of Walt Disney's Fantasia by J.B. Kaufman. Will be coming out in October of this year from Weldon Owen Press. So
he was hanging out with Didier at D23.
That's right.
You get those 2 together, Jim. Watch out! Watch out!
Well, speaking of which, we had Didier on the show, and he was talking about his True Life Adventure book, which finally came out. In fact, I picked up a copy at the D23 Expo last fall, and a wonderful read. We need DDA back on the show.
Yeah. He reaches out every once in a while. We should definitely get him back.
Okay. I don't know if we talked about this on last week's show, but you did mention off air that you had gotten to see an episode or two of Agent Elvis?
No. Well, I had seen a sizzle.
Okay,
which was not even as much footage in the trailer, and I did not know that it was Matthew McConaughey. I will say that.
Oh, yeah, no. This was during your visit to Sony Pictures Animation, right?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So, well, I have to admit that was kind of a surprise. So the footage that accompanied that announcement last week, I mean, I love the style of the show, but I have to admit I'm intrigued that Priscilla Presley is on board as a producer of this thing with Elvis with a pistol-packing monkey.
Oh, the monkey also does lines of cocaine and bites people's faces off, Jim. So it's whatever you're thinking the show will be, it's probably not. But yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. So as long as we're making friends here, folks, let's talk about this story that broke this past week about The Simpsons and the Hong Kong version of Disney Plus. Did you see this thing where they were censoring the episode?
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
Not great. And
it's such a mild joke. It's Lisa on the equivalent of a Peloton bike watching a video, and she's supposedly riding along the Great Wall of China, and the narration or the gag here is that the instructor says, "Behold the wonders of China, Bitcoin mines, forced labor camps where children make smartphones, and romance." And it's like, that's enough to have to pull that down. It's just amazing when you think about, well, we can't do this because we're going to offend the people in Hong Kong. But if you watch the rest of the Simpsons episodes and how cutting they are about American culture, that sort of thing, I mean, the teeth are still out. It's just, it's just not for that market.
Yes.
Speaking of markets, earlier this week on Twitter, artwork for Metro bubbled up.
Well, this actually connects to Devil Dinosaur because
it does.
The initial concept art inspired the initial development of Devil Dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
So what was in this artwork, Jim, though, that piqued our interest?
This was yet another spin-off from Cars. The first 5 years that Cars existed as a franchise, Disney, what was it? It was $10 billion globally in retail sales tied to Cars.
Did you ever go into that consumer products building at GC3 that just had the wall of all the little cars? It was very cool. But, it was a huge deal. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's how we got Cars 2 in 2011. But then the thinking was that we want to expand the toy line, which is why, in 2013, we got the first of the Planes movies, which was followed by Planes Fire and Rescue, which I actually like the sequel more than I like the original.
I agree.
But at the same time, they talked about then, and by the way, this wasn't done by Pixar. This was done by Disney Toon Studios, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Which was part of the Glendale Creative Campus. Had a wonderful little studio there. Didn't they share a parking lot and like a common area with Disney Television Animation across the way? Or
yeah, they did, and it was right next. Well, it was across the street from Imagineering too. So
it was
always a lot of fun people. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But there was a plan to further expand the line of both films and products. So they had started work on a further spinoff that was about boats. There was another one that was going to be trucks. And in fact, they got close with Planes 3, right? Didn't we get
Well, it wasn't really I don't know if it was plane. It was like in the Planes universe, but it was sort of the Top Gun of Planes.
No, that's exactly. In fact, this was the Top Gun Maverick. In fact, weren't they at one point calling it Space or something to that effect? I mean, they had no title for this. They hadn't quite gotten.
But they showed. Were you at that D23 where they showed the footage?
Oh yeah, the supersonic plane that blew the two jets out of the air. Yeah. It looked really, really promising. But In addition to this, and this brings us to what Drew and I were talking about just a moment ago, there was also Metro, which this was the urban take on the Cars world. I mean, the notion of the cars that were looking to travel around a fairly gritty New York City would drive down into the subway system, and basically the main characters of this thing were going to be subway trains and trains, right?
Yeah, if you'll remember that the branding for planes was from the world above
there
cars.
We go. There we go.
This one was going to be from the world below cars. And the artwork, which Steve Loader put up, who is an executive producer of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, shows a subway with the typical kind of Cars face. And and cars going below ground into the subway station. But it said, we developed a graphic, dynamic representation of New York that had elements carry over to Moon Girl. Jermaine Fowler would have been the lead character designer, and Raphael Sadiq, who is an amazing producer and songwriter, would have done the songs and score, which is just what could have been, Jim.
Oh, yeah.
This looks really cool, but this maybe would have beat Into the Spider-Verse kind of to the punch in terms of this graphic version of New York.
Wrong. And if you talk with folks on the consumer product side of things, this is the one they were really, really excited about, because it was the notion of they had in hand the Thomas the Tank Engine toy sales figures. And it was just sort of like, if we do this, if we move into the train space, we can print money forever. Lasseter eventually kind of lost his enthusiasm for Disney Toon Studios, and it eventually shut down. June of 2018.
Sad.
Yeah, I know. And in fact, the previous year's D23 Expo, the teaser trailer for the space thing that Drew and I were talking about, they announced that was going to be released theatrically in April of 2019. And when Disney Toon Studios closed, all of this stuff went away.
But there was going to be one more Cars movie.
Mr. Purcell doesn't get...
Steve Purcell, who's a genius, who did Sam and Max and...
Absolutely.
The Toy Story That Time Forgot, which is such a kick-ass little Christmas special.
It is?
Steve was developing a fourth Cars movie, a canonical fourth Cars. Okay. And after 3 didn't live up to what they wanted, that kind of got put by the wayside. Now, Steve was brought back for those shorts last year. So I said, oh my God, I'm going to get him. I'm going to have him admit that he was making this fourth movie. And he just completely shot me down. He was like, what are you talking about? I wasn't working on anything. Okay, but you directed and wrote 6 Cars shorts that could have very easily been compiled into a single movie. But...
Actually, 9. 9 car shorts.
Yeah.
And you look at this Cars on the Road, that Lightning and Mater on a road trip across country to get to Mater's sister's wedding. And it's a loose construct, but when you look at these 9 different shorts and all of the different flavors, and all the different story ideas that were out there, it's just sort of like... I have to ask the very same thing you were thinking. It's like, what of this pile of stuff that was developed for the fourth Cars film made its way into Cars on the Road?
Do I got to draw you a diagram, Jim? I mean, look at it. It's a Cars thing. They're on their way. They're riding the ride.
I don't know. Until he's actually willing to tell that story, I guess we'll have to take him at his word. So... seriously, if you want to see some amazing artwork, as Drew just mentioned, head on over to Steve Loader's Twitter feed. And likewise, if you hammer on Pixar Metro concept art, there's another bunch of pieces that come up, and it had such an amazing style and such an amazing look. And if this is what influenced Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, as soon as we finish up here, I'm going to go check that out. And speaking of things you should be checking out, if you are not listening to the Light the Fuse podcast, this wonderful series of shows that Drew does with the equally talented Charles Hood, you are missing out on so many great behind-the-scenes stories when it comes to, well, not just the Mission Impossible movies, but so many, major releases from studios other than Paramount. Drew, what's going on with the show this week?
This week, this Friday, we have the second part of our interview with Eric Jenderson, who's the co-writer of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2, which, little films that we might be looking at covering more in depth in a few months.
Okay.
But you'll love it, Jim, because he talks about writing Band of Brothers this week, which is, some great stories. And also, he was working on a Majestic 12 series for ABC. So I had to ask him, are we alone? And you're going to get that answer.
Oh.
And the answer is no. But yeah.
Wow. Oh, cool.
He said he did more research for this Majestic 12 show than Band of Brothers. So, yeah.
And why you want to follow Drew on social media is to be aware when these pieces drop on the Wrap, or for that matter, when new episodes of Light the Fuse are up and available. Drew, can you tell folks where they can find you on social media?
Sure. Drew Tailored, like a tailored shirt, on Instagram and Twitter. I guess we're still doing Twitter, even though, God, what a horrible experience Twitter has become. I mean, not just because of the people on it, but because of the ability to look through it. We're still there, Jim. You're there too.
I am.
So why don't you tell people where to find you?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram as Jim Hill Media, and over on Facebook as Jim Hill Media News. And let's see, in closing here, folks, if you could do Drew and I a favor, if you could head over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review, well, not just the show you're listening to right now, Fine Tuning, but also Light the Fuse. That's going to do it for this week, folks. Thank you for listening. And Drew and I will be back soon.